In that second, I had to choose between my badge and a child. I chose the child.
I have worked night shift in the ER for 12 years. I have seen car crashes, knife wounds, and mothers holding babies who would not wake up. I have watched doctors call a time of death and watched them bring people back from the edge. But I have never seen a room go still the way it did at 3:17 a.m. on a cold Tuesday at West Seoul General. The double doors crashed open, and 3 men in dark suits pushed a stretcher through them like the hospital was theirs. On that stretcher was a girl in a white dress, maybe 12 years old, covered in blood that did not belong to her. One man wore a gold watch and a voice that cut through every other sound. He said, "No names, no chart, she stays with us." Every nurse, every doctor, every tech stopped moving. The heart monitors kept beeping, but no one spoke. The girl pulled the IV from her arm with her teeth, looked straight into my eyes, and said 5 words that changed my life. "Please save me." The room froze. Not one person breathed. Even the air felt stuck. Then the man with the gold watch reached into his coat, pulled out a gun, and said, "She's leaving with us. Now." In that second, I had to choose between my badge and a child. I chose the child. That choice started a 7-day fight against money, power, and a secret that almost killed all of us. If you want to know how a nurse with no backup took on a family that ran half the city, stay with me. The only way you will believe how it ended is if you see how it started. If you're watching this, type your city and country in the comments right now. I read every single one. And if you want more real feeling stories about courage, justice, and heart, hit subscribe and the bell so you never miss what happens next. I did not move from the girl. I pressed my radio and said code silver. That meant gun in the hospital. The doors locked with a hard click. Security ran in with their hands on their belts. The man with the gun looked at me, then held up a plastic badge that said he was on the hospital board. "Step back," I said. He moved 1 step and no more. The girl, I would learn her name was Mina, slipped a plain black smartwatch into my palm. I closed my fingers around it. "She stays," I told security. "She is Jane Doe, I am admitting her." 2 guards took the man with the gun by the arms. The weapon went away. The fear did not. I cleaned Mina's arm, placed a new IV, and checked her vitals. Her heart rate was 128. Her hands were ice. When the room calmed, I tapped the button on the watch. The screen lit up with white letters on black. "Evidence, don't trust my father, 7 days." I did not know what that meant. I only knew it was not a joke. I put the watch in my scrub pocket and started the paperwork for a child's safety report. The law was clear. If a child was hurt or in danger, we had to tell the state. I also took photos of Mina's wrists with a ruler for scale. There were thin red marks like rope burns. I took photos of her forearms. There were small round burns like chemicals. I took photos of her right side. There were careful, straight lines like surgical cuts. I wrote every mark in her chart. At 4:00 a.m., the chief of medicine came into the ER. His face was red and his jaw was tight. "Discharge her," he said. "That's an order." I looked at Mina. She did not speak. She did not need to. I said, "No." My shift was not over. My duty was not over. He left without another word, but his eyes said this was not done. A nurse I trusted, Amy, pulled me into the supply room. "HR pulled your file," she said. "At 4 in the morning, that never happens." I nodded and opened the watch again in the dark. A new file had appeared. It was a video. A woman with bruises on her face and a cut on her lip looked into the camera. She looked like an older version of Mina. She said, "If I die, find Nurse Tara Bell. She saved soldiers. She'll save my daughter." The video ended. My phone buzzed in my pocket. The text had no name. It said, "We know where your son sleeps." My son, Leo, was 8. He had asthma and a nightlight shaped like a rocket ship. He was home with my sister, Dana. I called her right away. "Doors locked?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "Windows too. What's going on?" "Just keep them that way," I said. "I'll explain later." I hung up and asked the desk to run the name on the video. The system said Mrs. Han died 2 days ago in a boat crash. Body burned 6 hours later. Mina heard me say the name. She shook her head. "She wasn't on a boat," Mina said. "She was in the basement." The word basement made my stomach drop to my knees. I moved Mina to the old kids' ward on the 4th floor. No one used it since the new wing opened. It had a door that locked from the inside and a bathroom with no window. It was the safest place I could think of. Then the lights went out. The cameras went dark. The PA system clicked on. The man with the gold watch said, "We're coming for our property." I held Mina's hand. I had a flashlight, my phone, the watch, and a promise I made to myself. I also had Mr. Kim. He was our janitor and a vet like me. He served 2 tour and fixed everything with tape and wire. I called him. "We need to move," I said. He said, "On my way." Day 1 was almost over. Mr. Kim came with a small tool for doors and a bag that looked heavy. He did not ask questions. He never did. We followed the map that had appeared on the watch. It led down past the morgue, past storage, to a hall I had never seen in 12 years. At the end was a door with no sign, no number, no window. Mr. Kim used his tool. The door opened with no sound. The room was cold, bright, and too clean. It was an OR. There was no schedule on the wall. There were no names on the whiteboard. On a steel table were organ transport cases with blue lids. On the wall were photos of kids, school photos, smiling, dates under them, all gone. Mr. Kim said, "This is bad." A sound came from behind us like a bug zapper. Mr. Kim jerked and fell to his knees. Heels clicked on the tile, slow and sure. A woman in a red dress stepped into the light. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup was perfect. Her eyes were not. I knew her face from the news. Lisa Han, the new wife of Mr. Han, the boss, the father. "You're trespassing, nurse," she said. I slid my phone into my pocket and hit record without looking. Lisa smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. "Mina has a rare blood type," she said. "Grandfather needs it. Be smart." I said, "She's a child." Lisa said, "She's a match." I said, "You will not touch her." Lisa said, "Your son, Leo, cute asthma. Shame if the hospital lost his files." My chest hurt like someone had a hand around my heart. I wanted to scream. I wanted to fight. I did neither. I was a nurse and a mom. I had to be smart. I backed out, pulling Mr. Kim with me. He was awake now, breathing hard. We ran. Back in the safe ward, I checked on Leo by phone. Dana said he was fine and that she was taking him to a friend's house. I told her not to tell anyone where. Mina gave me the watch. "Day 2, she said. A new file was open, lists of names, laws, hearts, livers, all sold. I sat on the floor because my legs could not hold me. This was bigger than me, but I was in it now. I did not sleep. At 6 a.m., the school called. "Leo is not here," the secretary said. "A man took him. He said he was social services." I never called them. I ran to the school. The halls were empty. The playground was empty. He was gone. I came back to the hospital. Mina was crying. She held out the watch. The camera feed was there. The man with the gold watch held Leo's hand and led him to a black car. "That's Uncle," Mina said. "He only takes kids who won't come back." My legs gave out and I hit the wall. I called the police. They said they would look. They did not sound sure. Lisa Han called my phone. "Your son for my stepdaughter," she said. 1 hour helipad. I had been fired by then. My badge did not work, but my army ID did. I used it to get to the roof. The wind was hard and cold. A man in a wheelchair was there with tubes in his arm. He was thin and gray. He said, "Where is my granddaughter?" It was Mr. Han, the grandfather. He held up a check. 10 million, he said. "Walk away." I said, "No." I pulled the fire alarm. The sound was loud and the lights flashed red. People ran. Mr. Han was moved fast by men in suits. He coughed and said, "Then you'll watch your boy die first. Lisa already started." I ran down the stairs, skipping steps, my heart in my throat. I found Leo in a private room on the 7th floor. He was gray and his lips were blue. The monitor said his oxygen was low. The screen said poison. Mina was with me. "Third drawer," she said. "Blue vial. Mom hid them for me." I opened the drawer, found the vial, and ran to the doctor. He pushed the drug into Leo's IV. Leo gasped, then breathed. His eyes opened. He saw me and tried to smile. Security and police came through the door. They put cuffs on me. They said I took Mina and hit staff. I did not fight. Leo was alive. That was all that mattered. They put me in a small room with a metal table. The cop was the same one from Mrs. Hand's boat case. He asked questions I did not answer. My head hurt. My heart hurt. A lawyer came, looked at my file, and left. "Too risky," she said. Then Mr. Kim came with a tall woman named Sarah Yoon. "I was a prosecutor," she said. "Mr. Han made me lose my job. Let's make him lose his." She got me 1 hour out on bail. That was all we had. The watch beeped. Day 3. A new file opened, a list of big names. Mayors, judges, all got organs from kids. Sarah said, "We can't use this. It's blackmail. We'd be bad too." The TV in the hall said, "Mr. Han gives new kids wing to hospital. Mayor will cut ribbon tomorrow." We looked at each other. We had 1 day. We went to the event in cleaning suits with carts. Mina was there in a wheelchair, asleep. I switched her IV to salt water. She woke fast. She saw the crowd and the cameras, grabbed the mic and said, "Please save me. They're going to kill me tonight for my liver." The room gasped. The feed was live on 3 channels. Men ran to us. Sarah pulled me back. We got out. That night, police raided the basement OR. It was clean, too clean, no blood, no tools, no kids. Lisa Hen went on TV. "The girl is sick," she said. "She is sad. The nurse used her. We will sue." Sarah got a box with no name. Inside was Mrs. Hand's real autopsy. She died from surgery. Someone tried to take her liver. She did not make it. The paper changed things. A judge read it and gave the state care of Mina. He made me her medical proxy. Mr. Hen went on TV from his bed. "I'm dying," he said. "My granddaughter can save me. This nurse is killing me. Is this racism?" The city split in half. Some said I was right. Some said I was wrong. Protesters filled the street with signs. I did one interview. I showed Mina's scars and the watch files. I said, "No child is medicine." That night, Leo's school was firebombed. Just the front, a note said, "Last warning." I held Leo. He asked, "Are we bad?" I said, "No, we are doing hard right." Sarah said, "They will leak your army file next. Be ready." I was ready. They posted my file online. It said I was let go after a man died in Iraq. The truth was this: I saw a prisoner badly hurt. Men said he fell. He did not fall. I wrote what I saw. They told me to change it. I did not. I left with honor. The army called me. "The people after you are big," they said. "We can fly you and Leo out, not the girl." Mina said, "You have a son. Go." I thought of the man in Iraq. I left and he died. I said, "Not again." The watch beeped. Day 7. A new file opened. Daddy's list. It was a kill list. I was number 3. Mina was number 1. Sarah said, "We leak it." I said, "Do it." Sarah sent the list to news groups in other countries. It could not be stopped. Police in many places opened cases. Mr. Hand's money was frozen. Men came to our safe house. Mr. Kim stood in the door and took a bullet to the arm. "Roof, go," he said. We ran up. News helicopters were there. The whole world was watching. Lisa had Mina at gunpoint. Mina used what I taught her, broke the hold, and I tackled Lisa. Lisa hung from the edge, holding an SD card. "Drop me and every kid on this dies. It's the donor list," she said. I looked at Sarah and Mina. I reached down. I pulled Lisa up and cuffed her. "We do this legal," I said, "or we're them." Police took her. The SD card had 200 kids all alive all over the world. Rescues started that night. Mr. Han was on TV from his bed. "You win," he said, "but my son will finish this. He's been awake for years." I did not know he had a son. No one did. Sarah said, "We need to find him." Mina asked, "I have a father." I said, "We will learn the truth." Leo asked, "Is it over?" I said, "Almost." The son's name was Dan Han. He was in a coma for 10 years because he refused the family work. He woke up that week. He went to the police. He gave names, banks, roads, and planes. In 3 days, the whole group fell. Dan asked to see Mina. He said, "I am her father." A judge said Mina could choose. She looked at Dan, then at me. She said, "My father gave me life. Tara gave me my life back. I want both." The judge said yes. Joint care. Dan gave all the bad money to a fund for kids. He and Mina went into safety with guards. I cried that day, happy and sad. Leo hugged Mina. A week later, a law office sent me a DNA test and an 8-year-old will from Mrs. Han. It named me as Mina's godmother. It said, "I knew I'd need you someday." Mina read it and said, "She did meet you. In me." For 1 hour, the world was quiet. 6 months passed. The hospital built a new wing. The sign said, "Han Yeon and Tara Bell Pediatric Ethics Center." Yeon was Mrs. Han's first name. Mina cut the ribbon and smiled for real. I became head of patient advocacy. I helped kids and families. I made sure no one was pushed. Leo played soccer and used his inhaler less. Dan and Mina visited each week. Sarah went back to law and won hard cases. Mr. Kim's arm healed and he kept his tool bag. Lisa and Mr. Hen went to jail for life. 47 kids were found. More were being found. One day on rounds, a 10-year-old boy looked at me and said, "Please don't let them take me." My new nurse, Amy, froze. I did not. I sat on the bed and said, "No one is taking you." Not on my watch. We called the right people and did the right steps. Later, I stood by the sign with Mina and Leo. She said, "You did it." I said, "We did it." At home that night, we ate dinner. Leo and Mina set the table. Dan brought food. Sarah brought files. Mr. Kim brought pie. Mina gave me a drawing of me in my nurse clothes that said hero. I said, "You are the brave one." She said, "We both are." After dinner, Leo fell asleep on the couch and Mina covered him with a blanket. The house was warm. The locks were on. The world felt small and safe. News still talked about the case. Some people still yelled. I read the bad notes and put them down. Sarah said, "You can't save all of them." I said, "I can try for the one in front of me." We made new rules at the hospital. No kid alone with big donors, all care on camera, all charts double-checked. The board was new. Lisa's seat was gone. Mr. Kim put a plant in the old OR and said, "Make it a life room." We turned it into a play space. Kids painted the walls. Mina painted a sun. Leo painted a dog. I painted an open door. Dan brought a box from Mrs. Han with letters for Mina, one for each birthday. One said, "If you are reading this, Tara found you. Trust her. She is good." We put them in a book. Leo drew on the cover, Mina's book. At night, Mina read one and fell asleep with it on her chest. The court case ended. The last man was jailed. The fund had money for kids for years. Sarah came with a cake that said, "Done." Mr. Kim gave Mina a small tool. "For doors," he said. "Good doors." Dan said he would move to a farm. He asked if we would come in summer. We said yes. Leo asked, "Can we bring the dog?" Dan said, "We will get a dog." Mina clapped. Summer came. The farm was green and the air was clean. Leo ran with the dog. Mina read under a tree. Dan and I fixed a fence. Sarah and Mr. Kim came for a week. At night, we sat by a fire with no phones and no news. Mina said, "I feel safe here." I said, "Me too." We talked about school, work, and life. Dan said, "Thank you for giving us one." I said, "You gave me one too." The stars were bright. I thought of the watch. 7 days. We lived them. We won. Back at the hospital, the center was full. Kids played. Nurses smiled. I did my rounds with Amy, who was not new anymore. A 9-year-old girl held a bear and said, "Please don't let them take me." Amy stepped forward and said, "We won't. You are safe." I put my hand on the girl's hand and said, "Room, not freezing today, not on my watch." We called the right people and did the right steps. Later, I stood by the sign. Mina came by after school with Leo. She said, "You did it." I said, "We did it." I thought about the first night again. The gun, the blood, the 5 words. "Please save me." I thought about how a room can freeze and how a person can choose to move anyway. I thought about how one small act, saying no, filing a report, taking a photo, can turn into a chain that pulls a child out of the dark. I thought about Leo's breath coming back and Mina's hand in mine. I thought about Mr. Kim's tool and Sarah's law book and Dan's truth. I thought about a mom I never met who wrote my name in a will 8 years before she needed me. And I knew I would do it all again. I also learned things I want to share with anyone who ever feels stuck in a bad place. When you see a child who is scared, look at their body, not just their words. Bruises, burns, and cuts tell a story. Write it down. Take photos with a ruler and a date. Tell a nurse, a teacher, or the police. If you are that child, find one adult who looks you in the eye and does not look away. If the first one does not listen, find a second. Keep your voice until someone hears it. If you work in a hospital, learn your code words. Code silver means gun. Code pink means missing child. Code Adam means child lost in the building. Know who to call and where to go. If you are a parent, teach your child this rule. Safe adults do not ask for secrets, gifts, or photos of your body. Safe adults do not tell you to hide things from your mom or dad. If an adult makes you feel uneasy in your stomach, that feeling is real. Tell someone fast. If you are a boss, make rules that protect the smallest person in the room. 2 adults with a child at all times. Cameras in halls and playrooms. No private visits from donors. Check charts twice. If you are a neighbor and you hear a child cry at night, you can call a helpline. You do not need proof, you need care. If you are scared to act, do one small step. Write the date and time. Tell one person. Save one text. Small steps move you forward when your feet feel stuck. If you are healing, make a plan for sleep, food, and quiet. The brain needs rest to feel safe again. Talk to a counselor, hold a pet, walk in the sun. Healing is not weak, it is work. If you are angry at the world, use that fire to build, not burn. We did not drop Lisa, we pulled her up. We used the law, we used the truth. That is how you win and stay human. If you are in danger now, call your local emergency number. If a child is being hurt, tell a nurse, teacher, or police. You can also call a child helpline in your country. You are not alone. The room does not have to freeze. Not on your watch, not on mine. I still work at the center. Kids run the halls and leave handprints on the paint. Amy leads rounds twice a week. Mr. Kim waters the plant in the old ore and calls it hope. Sarah sends me cases and I send her coffee. Dan and Mina live on the farm with a dog named Rocket. Leo plays soccer and forgets his inhaler half the time. Dana watches him and rolls her eyes. We have dinner every Sunday. We laugh more than we cry now. Sometimes a new nurse asks me, "Were you scared that night?" I say, "Yes, I was very scared." They ask, "What did you do?" I say, "I did the next right thing, then the next. I asked for help, I told the truth." They ask, "What if it happens again?" I say, it will. Bad people do not stop, but we do not stop either. Last week, a girl with a bear came to the center. She was 9. She looked at me and said, "Please don't let them take me." Amy was there. She did not freeze. She said, "We won't. You are safe." I sat on the bed and held the girl's hand. I said, "Room, not freezing today, not on my watch." We called the right people. We did the right steps. The girl slept that night with her bear and a nightlight. In the morning, she ate pancakes. Small things, big things, that is how the world changes. One room at a time, one child at a time, one choice at a time. So here is what I want you to keep. Systems work when people use them. Evidence works when it is clean. Teams finish what one person starts. Promises matter. Truth is a tool. Courage is a habit. Policy protects. Healing takes time. You can be scared and still move. You can be small and still stand. You can be one person and still change a life. If you ever hear a child say, "Please save me," I hope you hear it the way I did. I hope you feel the room go still. And I hope you choose to move. Because when you move, the room unfreezes. When you speak, the silence breaks. When you act, the dark gets smaller. And when enough of us do that, the bad ones run out of places to hide. That is not a dream. That is a plan. We proved it. You can too. If this story moved you, tell me in the comments. What part hit you the hardest, and what would you have done in my place? I read every review, and your words matter to me. If you want more real feeling stories about justice, heart, and people who stand up, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Thank you for watching, and thank you for caring.
You are not alone. The room does not have to freeze. Not on your watch, not on mine. Thank you for watching, and thank you for caring.